really didn't think I'd be making this video. I really thought Misty would pass her MOT last time. We were so close. There were two things she failed on. First was her handbrake isn't holding well enough. That was actually an issue last time, but I foolishly thought that that was more related to the stuck calipers rather than the actual handbrake mechanism. So I've got some new handbrake cables as the existing ones are quite rusty, and hopefully that will sort that issue. And the other issue is, since the previous MOT, the exhaust has started leaking. So I need to figure out what that is and hopefully fix it. First up, going to be tackling the handbrake issue, which means once again, disconnecting the handbrake from the caliper, but this time removing the entire length of cable. I've got replacements of both sides because both of them, the rubber boots have gone. I'm going to do one side at a time just so I can have the other side to reference and make sure that the new cables I've got are indeed the right ones. So here's my new cable next to the old one, and yep, look pretty much identical, which is always nice. But more interestingly, to me at least, is how hard that is to move. I don't know how well that comes across on camera, but I didn't realise quite how bad this cable was. I mean, you might be able to hear it. Hang on, if I get my microphone in close. Biggest difference I see between the two cables is the new one is just the raw metal cable, whereas the original OEM one has this sort of plastic sleeve. So original one, probably better quality than this replacement, but you know, these were only 20 quid each, so I'm pretty happy with that. And this bit's underneath the undershield anyway, so hopefully should be right. Let's get it installed. So one of the key differences between this handbrake cable and the more expensive / genuine ones is it doesn't come with any of the bracketry, therefore they're both identical. You don't buy a left hand and a right hand. The cables are the same, it's the brackets that make them different. But it does mean I've got to reuse all these brackets here, which is probably fine. I'm going to actually start at this end again, so not quite the reverse removal, because if I can get this end in the right position, then everything else will kind of be in the right position further down the line. So that's the theory anyway. So now I'll just get everything connected under the car, which I won't bother filming because it's a huge pain in the ass and I just want to get it done. So it turns out I'm a double idiot because I couldn't start at this end as that wouldn't allow me to get it connected up at the other end. There wasn't enough slack in the cable. So I undid this end, got it all connected up here, and then found there still isn't enough slack to get it connected at this end. And then I suddenly realized that I haven't loosened it at the other end at the adjuster. And of course, as the old cable wore over time and got loose, this adjustment nut would have been tightened to take up that slack. So now I've got a nice new tight cable. I need to loosen this adjuster first, then I can get it all installed. So now I'm going to take that off, basically start again, loosen the adjustment nut and get it all in properly, hopefully. Now, I finally have enough slack in this cable to link it up. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is the cable from the other side that I've just removed, and to my surprise, it is even worse. I can barely move that, so yeah, clearly the right move replacing both of these. Now get the other side, new one in, and adjust it all and hope it works. That's both new handbrake cables in and adjusted to the best of my ability. Now I just need to make sure it actually works. Okay, so I know what you're thinking. Why have I got this rear brake in pieces again? I thought we were done with this. Well, I noticed that when I was lifting the handbrake up, it was pulling this side much more than the other. And through some investigation, I found that it actually wasn't gripping this wheel as well as the other side. I remember reading somewhere to reset this handbrake mechanism, you need to wind the caliper all the way in and then wind it out 180 degrees. And then when I got this refurbished caliper, it said just wind it all the way in. And I don't remember which one of those I did, but from the symptoms and what I read online, I think I did the latter and I should have done the former. So now I'm going to wind this all the way in, wind it back at least 180, but enough to make sure it's got a good sort of close grip on the pads, and then hopefully that will solve my issue. It took a lot of attempts and trial and error, but I finally got it so the handbrake is a nice fit. It can still spin. So now I'm going to put it all back together, try the handbrake, and hopefully this will solve my issue. Starting with the handbrake off, that spins nice and freely. I will check the other side as well. And now with the handbrake on, obviously you can't move it like that. Let's just see if I can. That's much better than before. If you remember when I was trying to do up this nut and it was spinning, I've got a similar length lever here, putting weight on it, and it's not budging at all. So I'm pretty confident. So the other thing she failed the MOT on was a new exhaust leak. So let's have a look for that. Ah, yeah. It would seem the temporary fix I applied 7 years ago has excused itself. I mean, what is the world coming to when a temporary fix doesn't even last 10 years anymore? So that's good for another 7 years. I took Misty round to the local garage again to get the retest done. And before they even got her into like the inspection bay, the mechanic came out and told me that he wasn't going to even look at the exhaust because the handbrake wasn't working. He said, you know, the handle was coming right up to the maximum travel and it wasn't holding the wheels, which seemed odd to me because I'd got it to the point where it was, you know, lifting up a good amount of clicks and the wheels seemed tight. But sure enough, he was right. The handbrake was right up at its maximum. So brought Misty back in here, tightened up the handbrake underneath to the point where it was holding again, and it seemed to be working. And then I'd pull the handbrake a few times and there'd be a click and it would go a bit higher. And this kept happening. I'd tighten it and it would sort of loosen itself. And I don't know what's going on. So now I'm just going to investigate what's happening. I'm thinking maybe I didn't reset the handbrake mechanism properly. So I'm gonna have a go at that and see what happens. So the observant of you may have noticed I'm on the other side of the car now. That isn't just for a change of scenery. It turns out this is the brake that's been causing me this problem with the handbrake lever kind of resetting itself. So while trying to figure it out, I put my camera underneath the car, pointing up at the handbrake mechanism, and then pulled the handle. And I thought I saw something happening, but it couldn't really tell. So I then put my camera into slow motion, filming like 240 frames a second. And on that, I could clearly see that as I pulled it up and it was tightening, the adjustment on this side of the car just kind of twitched slightly. And it clearly meant that this handbrake was suddenly getting looser. And so I've now done what I did on the other side, reset the adjustment on this, and it stopped doing it. That seems to have solved it. Now, I don't know if it's always been like that and somehow I just got lucky with previous MOTs, or maybe somehow it did unreset itself at some point. You know, I've had these brake calipers on and off a few times, but I think I've finally solved it. So there we are. Brakes all adjusted, seem to be working pretty well. Back down on the wheels. Time to go and try another MOT.
This is awesome. I love it. So fucking happy to have it back on the road. Right, I'll go find somewhere picturesque to stop and I can tell you all about it.
Right, well, promised you a scenic backdrop. I think this will do. Done it, she passed. Now, first thing I need to do is come clean. She didn't actually pass. She failed first on the same two damn things, the exhaust and the handbrake. And at that point, I just decided to let the garage fix it. You know, it's easier, they can do it. They've got the experience and the knowledge and they can get it done within the retry window. And I must admit, it was a little knock to the confidence to see when I got the bill for 1 hour's work, they'd fixed the exhaust and fixed the handbrake and got it through the MOT. But then I took it home and the handbrake still wasn't working properly. Took it back, they had another look at it, and they said it only just scraped through the MOT, and it was actually the caliper I replaced was the issue. And their conclusion was, I just bought a shit caliper. So kind of feeling a bit vindicated there that I couldn't get it done very well, and these guys, professionals with years of experience, could only just get it through an MOT. So maybe I'm not that bad after all, but she's passed. She's my daily driver now. This is so awesome. I don't recall if I've ever mentioned this before, but one of my goals was to get Misty through an MOT with no advisories. If you're not familiar with our MOT system, you have failures, which are things that mean your car is not road legal, and you have advisories, which are things that will develop into failures given time, but for now are okay. And the last passing MOT she had 4 advisories. There was engine oil leak, gearbox oil leak, and coolant leak. And then there's also the inner steering joint that was worn. And I achieved my goal, no advisories. All the leaks are fixed. I replaced that steering joint. She is perfect, pristine health. This is all I could have ever wanted. Like I said, she's my daily driver. She actually passed the MOT about a week ago. And the first thing I noticed is I'm a thin guy. I've always been a thin guy. I'm still a thin guy, but I'm not as thin as I was 7 years ago. Because I remember tightening the bolstering on these seats to fit me nicely, and it was way too tight. I've had to loosen them a bit. I've bulked up from super thin to just very thin. So that's something that happened in the last 7 years. I also took my eldest daughter out for a spin in the car. She really enjoyed it, but her favourite thing about sitting in this car as opposed to our usual RAV4 is that she could reach the door pocket from her booster seat, whereas she can't do that in our daily driver. So there you go, seal of approval from a 5-year-old. As always, thank you so much to our Patreons who chip in a little bit of money and keep us supplied with tea. Welcome aboard our newest Patreon, Paul. Great to have you on board. Thanks for support. And of course, if you do want to help support the channel, there's a link below. And we are now offering YouTube channel membership. So same deal, no matter how much you want to contribute, you'll get access to behind the scenes videos, you'll get a shout out when you first join, and your name will be listed at the end of each video. And well, occasionally you'll get advanced, like early access to videos. I don't say we always do it because it just depends when the video is ready and how long it's been since the last one, but you might also get early access sometimes. What's next for the channel? You know, Misty's back on the road. Well, actually, Misty is far from finished. There's a big pile of stuff in the workshop that I still need to put back on her, so she's, you know, fully back together. A lot of bits I took off in the process of fixing her, and a couple of bits I forgot to put back on years ago, so I need to sort those out. There's some other issues I need to fix, such as the speedo doesn't work at all, the tachometer is not reading properly, and I've got an annoying oil level light that I need to delete because I don't have the oil level sensor anymore. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please click the old like button. It really helps our channel grow, helps YouTube algorithm know that you enjoyed it. Consider subscribing if you want to be kept up to date with our new videos. Leave a comment. I read every comment. I reply to as many as I humanly can. And I really love reading what everyone has to say. And also, just, you know, if you think you know someone who might enjoy the videos, tell your friends. Next video might be some more stuff on Misty, might be something else. Thanks for watching.